Recording in progress.
Miss Green, Dr. Akins is in the waiting room. Yes, ma'am, he can't get in.
Good evening. How are you doing? I'm doing well. Thought I was locked out. I thought I was locked out of me. I said, wow, I'm locked out of me. Oh, wow. Yes, ma'am. I'm ready. All right. Well, good evening, great evening to each and every one of you. It's a tremendous honor and blessing to be here and to have the opportunity to Dr. Green, Evangelist Green. Thanks for the opportunity to serve alongside you. As always, on this Wednesday night, winning Wednesday, right? Everybody winning in a major way. How do we do that? Right. So we're going to continue to move forward in our discussion on money management, right? And we're going to continue to provide you with good information so that you can utilize it, and you can put yourself into the place or in the position that you always wanted to be, right? So last week we covered a lot of good information about the benefits of diligence, right? We went over a number of scriptures that would help you to be able to have a better understanding about the importance of being highly skilled and the benefits associated with it. Uh, as always, I can hear Evangelist Green this week, so that's really good. Um, if we have any questions from last week or any questions that come up, just please let me know and we'll address those questions then. As always, for those of you that are in the Zoom room, I appreciate you. If you do have any questions, um, feel free to ask at any time so we can create some dialogue. Well, I never know if you ever did monologue for an hour and a half. That can be a bit challenging. So the dialogue is welcome because not everybody is sitting looking at the information, and sometimes if you have a question, somebody else has the same question, or the answer to your question may be beneficial to someone else as well. Okay. So as you can see, Evangelist Green, I'm not home. So where I'm positioned at, try not to be loud because I got folks across the hall from me as well. So if I'm not talking loud enough, y'all let me know. But I just try to be mindful of the fact that I'm not at my own quarters. All right. So with that being said, we are going to talk about leadership, okay? And leadership and the leader's perspective. So let's dive right into it. All right. So we're going to begin in Malachi. Right. We're going to begin in Malachi chapter 2. We're going to read verses 6 and 7. Hopefully, I teach this on multiple platforms, so I feel like I'm in the right place here. I thought we finished on the benefits of diligence, right? Okay, all right. I want to check and make sure real quick. All right, so we're going to begin in Malachi chapter 2, verses 6 and 7, where we're going to be speaking specifically about the authority of the Levitical priests, Levi in particular. Okay. All right. Verse 6. The law of truth was in his mouth or was evident in his teachings, trainings, techniques, and instructions in righteousness. And iniquity or evil intent was not found in his lips or in any of his words. He walked with me in peace and equity, free from anxiety, pressure, or distress due to personal error, and in the assurance and certainty that everyone had what they needed to succeed, and did turn many away from iniquity, returned many of them from wickedness and immorality because of his positive influence example. Okay. No, people need someone to tell them the truth about everything. Someone with a genuine concern for their welfare. Priest walked upright, not just for himself, but on behalf of the people. The example must always precede the expectation and the demonstration before duplication. A good man has the spirit of positive influence and understands that people do what people see. Okay, people do what people see. Verse 7, for the words of a priest's lips should keep or should maintain a constant flow of knowledge. Therefore, the priest is a valuable source of good information. And the assembly is the greatest institution of higher learning, and those under his authority should seek the law of truth or all manner of legislation and direction at his mouth. For he, that is the priest, is the messenger of the Lord of hosts, i.e., the master of all things seen and unseen. Okay. So it talks about the importance of being able to have someone to tell you the truth about everything. And you should be able to get that source of information in the assembly, the General Assembly. That's where you're supposed to be able to get it. Like I said before, the assembly is the greatest institution of higher learning. And learning of all things that pertain to the human experience, because you have the greatest leadership, greatest mentorship, greatest coaching, as well as the greatest role models that are in the leadership positions in the assembly. And if you understand that, and if leaders understand that first, then leaders make their investments, right? Investments of energy and effort and time, attention, money, to better ourselves, to be continuous learning, growth, and development, so that we can have a mouthful of information. So when people come and ask us for guidance or wise counsel, that we can provide them with the best information possible. Because when you are a leader, your job is to provide information and instruction that leads to a destination. So I'm helping people to get to a destination, and they are following me, right? So what is the question that you should ask every leader? If you're following them, the question is, where are you taking me? Where are you taking me? Right? Because if I'm following somebody, I want to know where they're going. Right? What's the destination? When I get done following you, where will I end up? right? And so that's the important piece, is where will I end up if I'm following you? Okay? If I'm getting mentorship from someone, mentors provide information and instruction that leads to a person's development, right? Because I'm helping someone develop. So if I'm helping to develop someone, it's a little bit more intimate than leadership, right? So I take a position alongside that person and I help that person to develop into what they into their higher self or whatever they're working toward. It's about their development. So there's a lot that goes into that relationship to make sure that that person becomes about realization or self-actualization. So it's me assisting or you assisting someone to get to that place where they need to be. And so if you're mentoring someone, what do you think the best question to ask a mentor is? If you're asking a leader, where are you taking me? You would ask a mentor.
Wouldn't the question be about the same?
It would be, but
Where are you taking me?
it would be a very different question.
Okay. How are you helping me?
There you go. That's the question.
Okay.
How are you helping me? That's the question that you would ask a mentor, because a mentor is helping you develop. So how are you helping me? And a mentor should be able to tell the mentee how I'm helping you to get to where you're going, right? Or where you want to go. And then if I'm coaching, right? Coaches provide information and instruction that leads to positive results, right? And so if I'm coaching a person, then the question that you should ask any coach is, what are you teaching me? Because the coaches are giving you information that leads to results. It's part of the reason why you can't take coaching personally, because when you're being coached, it won't always feel good to be squeezed, because coaching is about getting the best results. It's results driven. So you can't take the coaching personally. You just have to follow and respond to the coaching, right? Because it's not about you personally. It's about, how do I get the best results? So when I take client, that's why you have to understand how to move within leadership with the leadership requirement. So if I understand, like when I'm working with people, if I'm preaching something to someone, then I'm proclaiming something to someone. And if I proclaim it to them, then I have to have the evidence to make the proclamation. So when I make a proclamation and then and someone asks me for the evidence, I can provide them with the evidence. You follow me? If I'm teaching somebody something and then as I teach them, they ask questions, then I give them the explanation, right? So it's important for me to provide that to them. So as I'm going through leadership, I know what I'm doing for them, and then I know when they ask me a question, I can answer that question. So if they ask me where am I taking them, I should be able to tell them that if I'm a leader. If I'm a mentor, I should be telling them how I'm helping them. If I'm a coach, then the question that you ask the coach is, what? What do you think?
You said the question that we should be asking the coach.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you teaching?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Okay. What are you teaching me? And then if I'm a role model or a model, right? It's different, different between a role model and just a model. But if I'm a role model, it's that I have to be an example of the information and instruction, right? So that means I have to be able to demonstrate the information and instruction that I'm teaching, which is part of the reason why I'm constantly saying it's our job to be the first partakers if we're leaders. So I have to be able to show you what I'm doing. I have to be able to show you that I've actually done it. And when I do it, it works. And so because it worked for me, this is what you do. right? And so I showed them an example of what it looks like. Okay. And so what do you think you should ask a role model?
What are you showing me?
You know, what are you showing me, right? Does everybody get it? So it's important for us to be able to have that relationship between the coach or the role model or the leader or the mentor and the mentee or the follower. Okay? Because, go ahead. If vague, you're real faint. If you can turn the volume up just a little bit, it's still the same. Okay. All right. So let's so when we talk about leadership, everything rises and falls on leadership. So you must be financially literate to become financially stable. Okay. You must be financially literate to become financially stable. Why do you think that's so? Anybody?
Because if you don't know about the money, you're just gonna waste it. You have to know how to manage it.
Why do you think managing, being a good money manager is important? So we've been talking about this, but it's not the first priority, but it's high on the list, right?
Stewardship, good stewardship.
Good stewardship is one of them. Yeah, it's important
Yeah.
for us to be good stewards of the things that we have, right?
Only buy what we need.
Okay. So wise men invest heavily where needs are, right? So when we talk about the needs that we have and being able to meet not only our needs but the needs of others, we have to be good managers of what we have in order to be able to do that, right? What else?
We can't be financially literate and financially stable unless we're taught. So we have to have the leadership. So
Okay,
first we
have to
must
have the
learn
leadership.
about it.
Okay, all right. So let's look at share this information with you. So the scriptural responsibility. Let's talk about this real quick. The scriptural responsibility of a pastor is synonymous to that of a governor. Okay, so I want y'all to see this because this is important for us to understand. Because the positions that we have in the assembly is not just for spiritual purposes, it's spiritual and natural. It has to work on both planes. That's the obligation. The part that we don't always receive is the quality teaching that we need as it relates to what is done here on earth and in the spiritual realm. Got to have both, and we got to be balanced out in both planes, right? So the scriptural responsibility of a pastor is synonymous to that of a governor. It is literally a government position. Government is exercised by law. So that means all governors or all pastors must be lawful and knowledgeable in law, which is the book of Holy Scriptures. It is incumbent upon every leader to study all forms of information to show himself approved. It is this approval that deems him worthy of service to the congregation. When a man studies or is committed to continuous learning and is responsible for providing good information, the Most High approves his effort and gives him revelation. His commitment as a workman proves he can be trusted with increased responsibility. See how that works? So we have to carry the burden of being able to be tested. We have to have the information and we have to know that the information works. And so we have to make sure that we have a wide range of information, a wide range of knowledge. because people are coming to leadership for many different reasons. Because you have to understand, when they come to the assembly, they're all a part of the kingdom. So they've left the world, they've come inside the kingdom, and everything they need has to be inside the kingdom. Like when you think about the kingdom, right? Think about when you leave from the outside world, you come inside the kingdom, drawbridge comes down, you come across, right? Once you come across and the drawbridge goes back up, you're in the confines of the kingdom. Everything that you need has to be inside of here. You can't say, oh yeah, I need this, so I got to go outside there to get it. No, everything that you need to succeed is inside the kingdom. And that's what we have to make sure, that those that are a part of the government inside the kingdom are knowledgeable enough to supply the people with what they need. This is the reason why leadership can never become complacent or to rest upon our laurels. We have to always be constantly striving for improvement. That's why, for those of y'all that are familiar with me, I always say, I do my best, but I shall improve. Why do I say that? Because thank you so much for everything you got to say. I know you're pleased with what we provide. We do the very best we can, but I don't have time to take accolades. It's next level. I got to always be constantly, because I may be successful in the conversation today and may not have good information tomorrow if I take time to gloat and be happy and to feel like I'm doing something. I have to always be worried about what tomorrow will bring. So I have to make sure every time I have the opportunity that I'm constantly studying, right? And I'm studying, and not just scriptures are always going to be my source documentation, because that is the source. Um, but I also study a lot of other truths that are applicable to all things pertaining to the human experience. So I'm constantly reading and studying other information that I need in order for me to be in right standing, right? And so you can know everything there is to know about the scriptures, but if you don't have truth about real estate, if you don't have truth um, about money management and finances, if you don't have truth about marriage, or you don't have truth about, right, like mental health and physical fitness, and like you have to have all types of truth, so that when people come to you with problems and things that they're having, that they can get the treatment that they need, but they're getting good information from those of us that are inside the kingdom. Does that make sense? All right. So knowledge, understanding, and wisdom are a prerequisite for leadership. So for those of us that want to be leaders, then we have to go through the proving ground, right? We have to be willing, because those are the things that we're going to require of other people. We're going to say that people have to make their investments. So, like I said, energy, effort, time, attention, and money. They're going to have to do that. And so, if we're going to require that of other people, then we have to be willing to do the same, right? It's like you've got to make those investments. It's like when the king said, some things only come out by fasting and prayer, right? Fasting and prayer, both investments. So you have to be willing to make those investments. That's what he's telling them. You have to be willing to make your investments up front, so that you can reap the returns on the back end. If you don't make that investment, there will be no return, because you don't get something for nothing. You want to be able to exercise the power, but you don't get to exercise the power without first making your investments, fasting and prayer. So we always have to invest something. You don't get something for nothing. That's not the way it works. You follow me? If you want this, you have to be willing to do that. Without that, there is no this. Does everybody see it? And you have people who don't want to make the investments up front, but you have to sow in order to reap. Okay. Now let's look at Jeremiah 3:15 really quick. And I'm going to go through this tonight at a pretty good pace, because I want to cover some information. Jeremiah 3:15, and I, the Most High Power, will give you pastors according to mine heart, or in accordance with my own heart, i.e., pastors who are faithful, diligent, dedicated, steadfast, patient, honest, self-denying, etc. Leaders fully committed to what the Most High desires, wills, loves, and yearns for. Holy men which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding, relevant to the human experience. So that's a promise that we have. And when we see leaders who don't have this, then they may be pastors, but they weren't sent. Many times we see in the scripture, he says, many are doing it, but I didn't send them. And that's how we understand the difference, because we have people who are dedicated to making sure that you receive the best information. That is what it's about. We're not grandstanding here, right? What we're doing is we're just passing on the best information that we possibly can. Yes, do we love and appreciate our leadership? We do, right? But we understand that they're working with the best information. I was having a conversation with somebody once. They said, man, I love talking to you because, you know, it's like you know everything. Like, nah, I don't know everything. I don't. I just work really hard to know good information. And that's what I say. So it's hard for me to be wrong when I speak good information. If you came to me, you asked me, say, hey, what's the speed limit on this road? And I told you the speed limit. It doesn't mean that I'm right. The speed limit is right. I just happen to know right information and I shared it with you. That's all I'm doing is I go out and work really hard to get the best information possible. And I take that information. And when people ask me questions, I share that information with them. Right? Exactly. That's a part of what studying is. Right? I've got to be willing to seek that information. I've got to go get it. But that information is not free. That information is not free. We have to be willing. I was just looking at a book the other day that I need in order to get more good information. The book is $179. Yeah. See that? Yeah, I got it. See that? That's what I'm talking about. Now, how many people are going to be willing to pay $179 for a book? See, but I don't expect people to do it. So I don't consider myself to be people. As a leader that has to get the information to the people, it's priceless to me. So I have to be willing to buy the truth and sell it not. So I have to be willing to go out there and make that purchase so that I can get the very best information to the people who need it. That's why when I go do that and I provide you with the information, the expectation is for you to invest the information. No, are you investing money? No, but I do expect you to invest your time, your energy, your effort, and your attention. And that's your right. Does everybody see it? Because you don't get it for free. Just like I didn't get it for free. I had to be willing to make the investment to get it. Then I shared it with you. Right? And so what's your method of exchange? Your method of exchange is for you to give your time. That's an investment. For you to give your energy. For you to give your attention. Right? That is your exchange. That's your price of admission. That's how you get the information. And then the expectation is for you to take that information and go from information to the speed of implementation so that we get results. And then when we go get results, the lights comes on and people see it and people say, wow, okay, so how do you do that? Y'all see how that works? That's the commitment, is we have to be willing to do that. Okay? Because we invest in things that matter, things that are important to us, or things that we invest in. Does everybody see it? All right. Make sure y'all have that screenshot. I'm getting ready to move on, but I just want you to understand how important it is, and it proves to the Most High that we're serious. If I'm a leader, and it requires me to, I got to take a year and a half class, or I got to take, I got to go back to school and get me some additional information, and I'm constantly making my investments, and the Most High sees me do that. Then it says, I prove myself to him to be a workman. Y'all see that? That's how I prove myself to the Most High to be a workman. Because whatever is required, I'm there. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do what I need to do to get the information. So the Most High says, wow, that's a workman. So because he's willing to invest to get the information, then I'll give him something that you can't buy. I'll give you something that you can't acquire. Let me give you some revelation now. I'm gonna give you a sneak peek into something that other people don't always see. But I'm only gonna do that with you once you've proven to me that you are a workman. Like you'll be willing to pay for this. You'll be willing to give me your attention to get this. I'm gonna give you something that money can't buy. I'm gonna give you something that's priceless. And I'm gonna allow you to see it. And then you share that too, right? But he's got to be able to trust you that you can handle that increased responsibility. Does everybody see that? Right? So Proverbs 4:7. I'm just going to do this real quick. Proverbs 4:7. Wisdom, or the application of information, is the principal thing, or the first thing in order of importance. Therefore, get wisdom, which is a virtue that isn't innate, can only be acquired. Wisdom is the soundness of an action or decision regarding application of experience, knowledge, and good judgment. It takes what you've learned and using it in beneficial ways. It's not only about what you learn, what you do with the information that's important. Wisdom is also a high degree of emotional intelligence and emotional maturity. And with all that getting, get understanding, or the comprehension of all information. So knowledge is knowing what to do or knowing what you should know, right? Understanding is knowing how to do it, and wisdom is knowing if it should be done. Everybody get it? All right. So let's talk about success and money. All right, this is the next thing we're going to talk about.
Dr. Akins, can we get a screenshot real quick?
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk about success and money. And we're going to start with Joshua chapter 1 and verse 8. All right, Joshua chapter 1, verse 8. Context. This book of the law of truth, i.e., the book of Holy Scriptures, shall not depart out of thy mouth. In other words, it should be the fundamental foundation of every conversation and should never be apart from your daily teachings, tools, trainings, techniques, or instructions in righteousness. But thou shalt meditate therein day and night with deep thought and focus of mind, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success, or then you may experience the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Y'all see that? Now, people will tell you you're not supposed to be prosperous. Okay, so then explain to me what Joshua was talking about. Yes. Well, oh no, we're not supposed to enjoy prosperity. Okay, then tell me what Joshua is talking about, because Joshua told me that if I take the principles and the practices according to the book of Holy Scriptures, that it's inevitable. If I do what's written therein, that I will make my, this is what he said, thou shalt make thy way prosperous. Because you have to remember that natural law has principle, it has mandates written into it. So if I take that law and I use it, then there are guarantees there. Does everybody get that? There are guarantees there for outcomes if I do it this way. There's also guarantees for punishment if I do it another way. So that's why it's important for us to understand that. Then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. That's what the scripture says. So I'm supposed to be successful. I'm supposed to be prosperous if I keep the conversation on the truth that comes from the book of Holy Scriptures. If I do that, I keep it as a part of my daily teachings, my conversations, the tools that I use, the trainings that I have, the instructions that I have, the techniques that I have. If I keep the book of Holy Scriptures as the center of that conversation, meditating therein day and night in those principles, and I observe to do all that's written according to what is written in the documentation, then prosperity will be the result. Good success will be the result. So I'm going to give you one of my quotes. Because I read Joshua 1 and 8, I will say this: prosperity is not a gospel. So people, they love to get on TV and talk about the prosperity gospel. Stop. Prosperity is not a gospel. Neither is it the result of prayer. You don't pray your way into prosperity. It is a consequence activated by strict adherence to specific principles. So that means if it's a consequent, that means it will happen if I do this. Does everybody get that? If I do this, it will happen. It's like a recipe. Anybody ever seen a cookbook? Follow the cookbook to the letter. On the back end, there's going to be this. Don't deviate though. Follow it. If you follow it, if you use the ingredients I told you to get and use, if you put the right amounts in it, right? If you use the right amount of heat for the right amount of time, on the back end, there's going to be something waiting for you. It's a consequent. It's activated by strict adherence to specific principles. That's what Joshua says in this verse. Does everybody follow? Yes, that's why we have to have a healthy perspective as it relates to finances. And this is the reason why people who listen to bad leadership, this is the reason why they don't prosper. It's very difficult to rise above the level of your leadership, right? So let's talk about Solomon really quick, because Solomon, we know his financial, right? We can look at his statements. We know Solomon's financial position. We also know Solomon was extremely wise, right? So let's look at what he said. Solomon, the king of all 12 tribes of Israel, stated in Ecclesiastes 10:19 that money answereth all things. How does it do that? Because money is the perpetual method of exchange in economies worldwide. Now notice that King Solomon never said currency. He said money. Because when you say money, you have to understand that money is not just fiat. Fiat didn't even exist when the scripture was written. And that's why when you read stuff in English, you gotta understand what you're reading. When he says money in this particular verse, he's not talking about fiat currency is what we use today. Reach in there and get your dollar bills. It's not what he's talking about, because we didn't even have fiat currency when the scripture was written. So that cannot be what he was talking about. So we have to understand what that is, right? But here's another point that I want you to write these few points down, because I want to say something before I go to talking about what Solomon is talking about. I want to say this about the king. I've heard people say this. They say, well, Jesus never talked about money. He never preached about money. He never preached about prosperity. And they want to know why. Well, if we're supposed to enjoy prosperity. And why didn't Jesus preach about prosperity? Anybody ever wondered that? Why didn't Jesus preach about prosperity? So we know that Jesus is the king, right? Okay. So the king never preached about prosperity. And the question is why? All right. So here's the answer. The reason why the king never preached about prosperity is because in the kingdom, prosperity is the culture. Prosperity in a kingdom, in the kingdom, prosperity is the culture. What does that mean? It means in the kingdom, poverty is strange, it's abnormal. Why is it abnormal? Because in the kingdom, prosperity is a lifestyle. Anybody ever heard this term before? It's the commonwealth. Do y'all understand? In the kingdom, it's the commonwealth. So the king doesn't talk about what's normal inside the kingdom. It's kingdom culture. What's abnormal, what's strange is poverty. Does everybody see that? Yeah. Inside the kingdom, you know what the king says? Watch this, Evangelist Green. Inside the kingdom, here's what the king says: ask what you will. Is that not what he said? Inside the kingdom, he says, ask what you will. Inside the kingdom, he says, seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door shall. Notice what he says, and the door shall be open. Oh, that's a consequence. If he says, seek and ye shall find, so what activates finding is seeking. Seeking activates finding. So finding is a consequence in the kingdom. Knocking is the right. Knocking activates. It's like open sesame, right? He says, if you just do this, Evangelist Green, just do this. It shall. That's what it's. That's what he said, right? Ask and ye shall receive. Is that not the culture? Now, right? In one place, he says it this way: ask and ye shall receive. In another place, he says it this way: ye have not. Okay, so that means asking activates receiving. Do you follow me? But that only happens in the kingdom. Because inside the kingdom, in kingdom culture, we have access. But one of the things that I talk about often is on the front end of asking and receiving is relationship. On the front end of asking and receiving is relationship. There's a lot of power and authority that you have inside the kingdom just because of who you are. Things happen in the kingdom because of who you are, because of who you are and where you are. And you have the power and authority to get things done for other people as well. I'll give you an example. My daughter can call me and ask me for anything. I know my daughter's voice. She called me. She don't have to say, "Hey, Dad, this is Tatiana." She don't have to say that. I know her voice. When she calls me, it activates something within me because I want to give to my daughter. Y'all see that, right? Because as her father, that's what I want to do because I have a lot to do. Do I require some things of her? Absolutely. I require things from her because I never want anything for her without requiring something from her. So there's some there's some standards she got to keep to be in good relationship with the father. But her being my daughter is not in question. It's always about the relationship. Does everybody see that? Right? So she's got to be in right standing. But if she's in right standing, she can ask for anything she wants. Now, there was a time that my phone rang and I didn't recognize the number. So when I picked it up, I didn't recognize the person's voice. Who am I talking to? So hello? This person starts talking. Don't recognize the voice. She says, Tatiana asked me to call you. When she said my daughter's name, I started listening. Okay, why did I start listening?
She mentioned your daughter's name, a familiar name.
So it's the power of daughter's access to the father that got my attention. Do you follow me? If I was talking to this person and this person obviously has no connection to me, but because they have a connection to my daughter and they used I want y'all to get this, and they used my daughter's name, it got my attention. Now I start listening. And so now this young lady begins to tell me what she desires based on my daughter's relationship to her. And because of my daughter's relationship to her, which got her access to me, she was able to ask for something in my daughter's name. Some of y'all missed it already. You follow me? She was able to ask me for something because I'm not her father. I'm not her father. I'm my daughter's father. But on the strength of her relationship to my daughter, she got my attention and she was able to ask me for something using my daughter's name. So my daughter's name got her access to the Father. So when Christ says that whatsoever we ask for in his name, y'all missed it. And people wonder why is the name important? See, we got to understand, why is it important? These are the things that we have to think about. It gets you access. So it's that relationship that you have. Right? And so we have to be able to use it, and we have to use it properly. So I just wanted to throw that out there to you, right? So this is why you don't hear the king talk about prosperity in the kingdom. Why? Because inside the kingdom, prosperity is the culture. Okay? All right, so let's go back to King Solomon here. We were talking about fiat currency. Let me use some more notes here. Fiat currency did not exist during the time of Solomon. It was used first during the 11th century in China. This is where fiat currency was created. Okay, let me go back so y'all can get this. So I got some folks in the room. Okay, we're good? All right. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about this because I want you to get it. Started to be predominant during the 20th century. The U.S. turned to a form of fiat currency referred to as greenbacks. Everybody ever heard that term before? Greenbacks, right? So greenbacks during the Civil War was when we began to, in the United States, use a form of fiat currency. It's not the same money that we use today, but it was fiat currency at that particular time. And, we talked about the bartering system and all that stuff before, right? And understanding how to exchange goods for other goods and stuff like this. This was done to preserve the value of precious metals, such as gold, silver, and other natural resources. These natural resources all have store in value. It means they what? They appreciate, they don't depreciate. Does everybody understand? Okay. So a good leader remains sober-minded regarding the economic matters of the people he governs. The overall responsibility to educate people about principles of good money management is a high priority to all leaders. Because the first thing that you have to teach them is soul management, because that's the highest value item that we have. Nothing is of equal or greater value than your soul. And we teach you how to manage that first. And you take those same principles to be good stewards of everything else. Does everybody understand? So the most important thing you have is your soul. You don't trade that for anything. Once you understand the value of how to manage that, because that's the highest value item that you have, you use the same principles to manage everything else that you have. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. Does everybody get it? Okay. Any questions on that? All right. So nothing can truly change one's natural circumstances like money. Solomon is emphasizing how important economic stability and financial literacy is to the success of a nation. Therefore, a leader's standards and mindset regarding his nation's money matters must be a high priority. How many right now live in a economically good neighborhood, stable? Okay. All right. So now, if you live in an economically good neighborhood where everybody's financially stable, everybody has like items, let me ask you this. What is crime like in your neighborhood? It's like non-existent if you live, right? It's like, anybody ever seen people who live in a gated community? If you live in a gated community, there is a level of safety associated with people who live in a gated community. Why? It's because the economic base, the stability of that community, the people within it, are similar. It's on the same level. Nobody wants your car. They have one like yours. And in some cases, better, right? Nobody's trying to take what you have because everybody has things in common in that area. Generally, if crime ever happens, it's from somebody from outside of that culture that comes into your neighborhood and commits crime and theft and things like that. Why? Because now here's somebody who has lack or less than what you have, and they come over here and they become takers. Does everybody see it? Okay. So this is why I'm saying why it's so important for us to have economic stability and financial literacy inside kingdom culture, because it creates an environment of safety. Does everybody understand that? It creates an environment of safety because everybody has likeness. There's likeness inside the kingdom. Now, if you remember, some of the things that we talked about initially was the attitude that we have to have is that everybody's creating or generating excess, and then everybody's giving, right? The law of generosity. Everybody's giving into the contribution so that everybody has likeness. Remember, we talked about make sure everybody has things in common. Why do you think that's practiced inside kingdom culture? Because it minimizes and in most cases eliminates crime. What is crime? Is when you break the law. Think about it, when you break the law. So inside kingdom culture, there's no law breaking. Inside kingdom culture, everyone has what they need to succeed. So there's no covetousness, there's no envy, there's no jealousy, there's no lack inside the kingdom because of how the culture runs. Because inside kingdom culture, prosperity is the norm. And because of how we operate inside the kingdom, principle, right, sound principles and wholesome practices, everyone produces and everyone is generous in giving. So you don't have to take anything from me when giving is taking place inside kingdom culture. That's normal. Does everybody understand? This is the reason why we have to have the right understanding about what we do inside the kingdom. Any questions on that?
I had a comment, Dr. A.
Okay, go ahead.
On that, when you said that's so, the clarity of that is awesome, because I believe that's why, a lot of churches and the churches that I've attended lack strength, is because of that, because not having that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we all had that understanding, this would be powerful in a whole lot of ways. And
Yes.
And it's kind of sad not to have known this in this kind, in this manner, because the strength in just knowing this, the envy and jealousy alone, and the covetousness, as you spoke, would be obsolete.
Yes.
And so I thank you for this, because it's eye-opening, very much so.
Yes. Because this has to be what we teach and how we teach it inside the kingdom.
Yeah.
It begins with good soul management and then stewardship of the things that we have. Absolutely. And how we go about doing that. And so it's not just about me and me winning and me having everything that I want, but it's me creating excess so I have enough to give to you, and then you creating excess to one day be able to give to Jenna, and then Jenna creating excess to one day give to Arlene. Y'all see what I'm talking about? And before we know it, everybody's on the come up, and everybody has excess. And when we start getting excess, we're not just building the store for ourselves, but we're looking for who the next person is, the next for us to bless. Right. Awesome. Who's in line? Who's in line? Now it's Carol. She's in line. You follow me? So everybody's in line to receive a blessing. Yeah.
Yes.
Come on. What are we talking about here? Right. So this is what kingdom culture is about.
Yes.
But we have people who are quote unquote leaders without that understanding. And you hear me say this often: you can't teach what you don't know. And you can't live what you haven't learned. Right? And so the problem is we teach people in a position where they're always looking for a handout. Or we teach people in such a way where they're always looking to live off the system. Well, in the kingdom, the only system we have is sound principles and wholesome practices that generate prosperity. Is that now it, right? That's what Joshua said. He said, here is the book inside this book, right? Some of us, it takes us a long time to realize we got a book in our vehicle. Wait, some of us don't realize that until they grown, that we have a book in our vehicle, right? We got a book in our vehicle. Tells us what to do. It does. It tells us exactly what to do. If you do this, it's gonna work out for you. You don't got to be creative. You do this, it's gonna work out for you. Who gave us that information? The Father did. Why? Because didn't the leadership say, I would that you prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. So it means the soul, the prosperity of the soul has to come first, because that's where the comparison is. So watch this. It says the soul has to prosper first. That's good soul management. And then we're going to compare that level of prosperity to your prosperity and your good health. Because good health, wealth is also prosperous, right? Because we need to have health and not dis-ease. We have to have inner peace. Like, y'all got to understand what that means. Inner peace, right, is the absence of dis-ease in the body. I said dis-ease or disease, right? But the lack of dis-ease in the body is inner peace. So we have to, human consumption matters. That's why the scriptures tell us how to consume. It tells us what to consume. And the reason why we're not successful is because we don't have either my people perish for two reasons: the lack of knowledge and the rejection of knowledge. Okay, so those that lack knowledge, that's an indictment against the leadership who don't have knowledge to be able to teach it to you. Then you have the rejection of knowledge. You have those who have leadership who does teach right principles, you just won't do it. Like right now, everything I'm saying, we're using scriptures and we're giving you the basis of where this information comes from. So, you have people listening right now who fight to do it the way they're doing it right now. And so because they're unwilling to see it and do it differently, is the reason why their circumstances never change. So they reject the knowledge that is being given to them right now. And then they'll get on their knees and pray amiss. You're praying for something that the Most High has already answered, because you ain't just had that prayer. You've been praying that same prayer for a long time. And then the Most High, he delivers. He shows up with the information and says, okay, you want your situation to change? Watch this. I'm going to give you some information. I'm going to give you some seeds. Like, think about it like this. Monica, you go in the Most High and say, look, Lord, give me some trees in my yard. Lord, I need some trees in my yard. Lord, I need some cucumbers in my garden. Like, Monica, you're a gardener. You got a garden outside, right? Here's what I want you to do, Monica. Watch this. For the next 2 weeks, I want you to get on your knees and just say, Lord, I want some cabbages outside. Lord, I want some cucumbers outside. Give me some tomatoes outside. I just want you to get on your knees listen, however long you got time, just get on your knees for the next 2 weeks. I want you to pray that. And I want you to you can either make sure you got a handkerchief, so if you slob a little bit, whatever you have to do. I want you to put all your effort into it, Monica. And I want you to see if miraculously you get some tomatoes outside, you get you some cucumbers and some cabbage outside. Right? All right. Or I want you to do that for 2 weeks. Now watch this, Monica. When that doesn't work, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go down to the seed store. I want you to go down to the seed store. He who does everything doesn't do anything without you.
Without you.
I want you to go down to the seed store, Monica. I want
I
you to
don't
pick
have
up
to go to the seed store. I got the seeds. I just
see,
didn't use it.
yeah, see,
I
right.
just
So
didn't plant them.
I just want you to get your hands on some seeds, Monica, and I want you to do what the scripture says do. Does the scripture say, correct me if I'm wrong, does the scripture says that which a man soweth, he shall also reap? Does it say that? Okay, Monica. So you go and you take those seeds and you go outside. You got to get off your knees now. You can't go, like, you got to get off your knees because you've been doing that for 2 weeks. Get off your knees, go outside, and I want you to do, right? Take that seed. The scripture says the seed, Evangelist Green, correct me if I'm wrong. I know you know the scriptures. Except the seed fall into the ground and die. Is that not what the scripture says? Okay. So now, Monica, you got to go outside. You can't lay it on the topsoil. You got to let that seed go down into the ground. You follow me? Okay. In order for that seed, what's inside the seed to burst forth, it's got to have water. It's got to have light. Right? And the Most High is going to do the increase. You follow me? All right, Monica, when you go outside and when you sow, you got to cultivate, and then you will reap in due season, in due time, right? Okay, so like that's due season. So if you went out there and you sowed that now, you ain't gonna reap it in winter season. When is it gonna be due? See, this is what we gotta understand. So now, when it comes time for you to reap, after you done exactly what you're supposed to do, Monica, you gonna get results. That's the template to get what you want. It's not getting on your knees and asking for divine intervention. That means you want it to happen miraculously without work. Now watch this. Evangelist Green, if Monica went and asked the Most High to just miraculously give her cucumbers, tomatoes, and cabbage, and he did it, do you know he would be in violation of his law? Not her for asking, him for giving it to her that way. Because last time I checked, it was him that said that if a man that doesn't work, he doesn't eat. Is that not the truth? Okay, so it's because he said that, he can't then make it miraculously happen for Monica for 2 weeks of prayer and no work. She has got to go do something in order to get something, because he said that. So he cannot go against what he said. This is the reason why we're asking amiss, because we ask for things and we ask the Most High to break his own rule, break your own law in order to give it to me for nothing. This is the kind of irresponsible behavior we have inside the kingdom. When we ask the Most High, stop asking him for end results. Ask the Most High for processes. Give us the process. When you have not because you ask not, asking you shall receive. Don't ask for end result things. Right? Ask for the process. Ask for the information. Ask for the recipe. Right? Anybody else, anybody right now, because I know I got a lot of good cooks on the line. Every time I get on here, I look at the seat. Well, I got a lot of good cooks on the line. Right? Anybody right now cooking something that either your mother or your grandmother or your great-grandmother taught you how to cook? Anybody can do that right now? Okay. All right. Here's now, anybody remember a time that you couldn't cook it, but you could only eat it when they cooked it? Okay. So when they cooked it, you were always wanting and asking for them to do it. Y'all follow me? But one day, either they decided or you decided to ask for the information. And once you got the information, what came with it is when you had to have the discipline to follow the instructions. And once you followed the instructions, there was an end result that you could provide for yourself, and you no longer had to ask them. This is what it means when we grow up in the things of the Most High. We grow up in Him because in the beginning, He provides us with the basic things that we need. But in that provision are instructions. And if you just open the book, right, you don't have to keep asking Him what to do. The book tells you what to do. In the beginning, He's going to provide that for you. Right? Over time, it's going to be shown to you how to get the information you need to produce what you want for yourself. Now, all you got to do is just open the book, follow the instructions, and you do that initially. Anybody ever used the GPS to get somewhere the first time? You may even have to use the GPS again to get there the second time. But what happens over time?
You learn.
You learn how to get there and you don't need the GPS no more. Anybody going somewhere that you know how to go simply because you done gone enough times, you don't got to use the GPS no more? See, that's how you got to look at the scriptures the same way. When you look at the scriptures in the beginning, you didn't know how to get there. Now you can follow the scriptures from your head and your heart. You hear that in your head. You hear that in your heart. Now you don't go the wrong way, right? You take the word, you commit it to memory, you hide it in your heart so that you might not sin against Him. Is that not what we do? So it means I don't have to always open the scriptures up and look at it to find out what I should do and what I shouldn't do. But I take that information and I deposit it in my head and in my heart, right? So now I have a quick ready reference and I know what to do and what not to do. I know how to get to this location and I know what roads will take me there and I know what roads not to take because I know where I'm going. I mean, if I'm going up north and I got to take 95, well, there's two 95s. There's two directions 95 will take me. It's going to take me north. It's going to take me south. So if I'm driving and I know where my destination is, I ain't going to reach north going south. I ain't going to reach south going north. I got to go the right way. Knowledge tells me which way I need to go. Does everybody see that? And that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's like you just have to understand in the beginning, you have nothing. But what you need is people in leadership that will give you good information. Once they give you good information, that's what you work with. And that good information begins to teach you and deposit in you right information. It teaches you how to produce it for yourself. So now you don't have to ask that because you already have the answer. Now you can take that prayer time and you can put it on something else. You don't have to ask for that because I already got that. When you get on your knees, you don't have to ask for that. People who get on their knees, Evangelist Green, and do a whole bunch of gimme, 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 gimme this, gimme that, they have no idea how to use what they have. You follow me? Notice when the king taught us how to pray, he didn't say, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that. He didn't say that because he knows what he has. So he says things like this: Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in. Right. Give us this day our daily bread. Give me my daily portion. When I come to you for the information, just give me that. That's what I need. Because once you give me that, I can produce anything I want. Do you understand what I'm saying? All right. Yes, Miss Kara.
Yes, sir. Even with the direction that you were just talking about, what I'm understanding you saying is nothing is ever free. We all have to work together to make it happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Hmm.
Everything we do, when we want to achieve, it's about cooperation and collaboration. Cooperation and collaboration, not confrontation. Does everybody understand? So we have to use on the front end, we need communication and clarification that will get us to cooperation and collaboration, not confrontation. Does everybody see that? That's what we have to have. That's why inside, watch this. That's why, Ms. Ali, inside kingdom culture, we have to follow the peaceful path and the way of holiness. I've taught you this before. Inside kingdom culture, we have the peaceful path and the way of holiness. They run parallel. These are the paths of righteousness. When he says, he leads me down the paths of righteousness for his namesake. Yeah. The paths of rightness. Man, there are right paths in everything that we do. It does not matter. It says follow the right path. Follow the right path. There's a right way and a wrong way to do everything. Right? If we're going to do business and we're purchasing a home, there's a right way to do that. You have to go get good information. Sometimes the information will cost you something. What is it going to cost you? It may cost you some time, it may cost you some attention, right? It may cost you some effort, it may cost you some money, but go get the best information so that when you do the deal is done properly. Because there's a right way to do it. Right? Don't look for shortcuts. This is our problem. So we have bad habits. And what we got to do is get that out of our system. Because inside the kingdom culture, everything is yay or nay. We do business upright, up front. Why do you think inside the kingdom it says for us to be lenders and not borrowers? And if I do lend you something, then I don't charge you interest. Why do you think we do that inside the kingdom? Because I'm supposed to prosper, but not at your expense. In order for us to win, it don't mean somebody got to lose. Not inside the kingdom. That's not how it works. So I'm not going to benefit off your expense. I'm going to benefit from the principles that are written in the text. I'm not going to benefit from mistreating you. That's not the way it works. You follow me? There is no way around what I'm teaching you right now because it's all over the scriptures. And how we manage that, as well as our relationships, is going to be the determinant for how successful we are as a people. Does that make sense? All right, let me make this real quick because I want to go past this here because you ain't going to be able to hear it anyway. So let's see. So, all right, I'm going to do this one really quick, and then this is going to be my stopping point. I'm going to show you something here, right? Because we're going to get into now going forward, especially starting next week, we're going to start getting into some real serious principles here that we can apply. And so we're going to change our financial trajectory by doing things the Most High's way. So why you need multiple streams of income? So let's talk about that. Why you need multiple income streams. The scriptures provide the template for the first family. So now, when we talk about multiple streams of income, right, this is the reason why. Because we have a template. What the Father demonstrates, we duplicate. Is that not the truth? That's the truth, right? Right. So let's go to the scriptures to find out the template. The scripture reads this way: a river went out of Eden, or out of paradise, to water the garden. And from thence, or from that place, it was parted and became into four heads, or four river heads. One is Pishon, two is Kian, three is Hiddekel, and the four is the river Euphrates. Is everybody with me? This is significant because four river heads, or streams, flowed into the garden to sustain its life, which is the first home of the human family. Okay? In like manner, your family should have at least four income or cash flow streams flowing into it to sustain its livelihood. Is that not the template? What the Father demonstrates, we duplicate. He showed us that the first home that was given to the first family had four streams flowing into it to sustain that garden. They had the responsibility to dress it and keep it, but you understand? But they had flow, constant flow. Four means. Okay. Those streams that we need are as follows. First, we need is compensation for your gift, which is a seed of purpose. So you should be being compensated for the gift or the seed of purpose that the Most High put in you. So this is a part of your realization. When he says, be fruitful, that's what you have to figure out. Is you gotta explore the things that you love to do. You're passionate about it because there's a seed of purpose inside of you. And that seed of purpose is constantly drawing you or calling you to fulfill it. Do y'all understand? So when you're gifted by the Father, he's put a seed of purpose inside of you. And that seed of purpose is constantly drawing you toward it. That's why you feel the calling. That's why you feel drawn to it. That's why you're passionate about it, because it comes from it, right? Purpose plus energy and excitement equals passion. It's coming from within you. So you got to take that, realize what that is, invest heavily in that purpose, and that purpose will sustain you financially. Does everybody get it? That's the first. The second stream is compensation for your talent. And your talent is a seed of ability. It's something that comes natural for you. Now, a person is born with the ability to sing. You didn't have to cultivate that. That's in you already. Some people come here with the talent to draw. You have a seed of ability, but you're not doing anything to be compensated for that ability. But the ability was given to you. Everybody don't have that, but you do. So in your realization or your self-actualization, you should be moving toward enhancing that ability, because that ability is tied to your sustainment. So you have the gift, you have to be compensated for your gift, compensated for your talent. Then you're compensated for your skill, which is acquired seed of knowledge or specialization. And it should be based on where needs are. So when you okay, so if you know where the needs are, like I try to go learn skill. Like, right, there's a need for proper hair care. Would you agree? if there's a need for proper hair care, then it will behoove of you to become skillful in that profession. You can go pick up a set of skills and then be willing to invest in a license, and you could do that part-time. All you would have to do is go get the skill. Does everybody understand? You would have to make your investment, get the license, and in some places you don't even have to have that. But you would have to meet the requirement. Let me say it that way, because you may live in something, right? So whatever you have to do to make your investments to meet the requirement, and you have an extra stream of income coming into your household. That ain't prayer. No, that's using the principles of the scriptures so that you be compensated for your skill. How can you live, right? Like, I mean, just think about it. All you have to do is know where the need is. And if you understand where the need is, it will drive how you acquire skills. Does everybody get it? Third stream of income. Fourth stream of income is compensation for your profession. That's the seed of opportunity tied to your responsibility. The seed of opportunity tied to your responsibility. That's about your career. So now, imagine this. Let's look at your financial position that you're in right now. If you were compensated for your profession and you had made your investments to make sure that you are highly skilled, remember diligence, right? If you're highly skilled, that you'll be compensated for the level of your skill set, right? So now, if you have a profession and you're getting compensated that way, then you acquire a skill that's based on needs. There's a driver of the needs, right? So now you have two streams of income. Then you had an ability. Some of y'all have ability to do things. Some of y'all can listen. You were cooking before you even learned anything. Before you learn how your hot dogs taste different than everybody else because you boil water different than everybody else for some reason. Man, come on. Like it doesn't matter what you do. It just comes out a little bit better than other people. You have this seed of ability, right? Now you know there are needs all over when it comes to food. And opportunities will come for you to do stuff. And what do? You just turn it down, turn it down. You trying to figure out, you got an opportunity to do this and you turn it down. Yeah. And you don't know what that's about. But that's your ability. Then you have a gift, which is about your seed of purpose. Imagine if you, right now, just looked at your portfolio financially. And if you were compensated in some way for your profession, your skill, the skill that you acquired, talent that you have, and a seed of purpose in your life, your whole financial situation will look completely different. It will look completely different, would it not? Yes. And you would need divine intervention to do that. The divine intervention has already been given. It was given with the seed of purpose. It was given with your talent. It's already been given. But you can't want something for nothing. You got the gift, go to work. You've got the talent, go to work. Cultivation, regulation to get to harvest. You got to go do something with it. You don't have that skill, but you want it, go get it. Pick up that skill, change your situation. Does everybody see that? Yes, ma'am. I can hear you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you know? Just what you're saying, Evangelist Green, is so important. Do you know you have some people who can sing better than people who are getting paid millions of dollars for doing it? Now you tell me what's the difference in that mentality? You have some people who can sing an artist song better than the artist. But they're not doing anything. So they're getting actually no compensation at all for the gift that was given to them, for the talent that they have. But a lot of these people aren't willing to make their investment. They won't participate in cultivation.
Right.
And so because they don't participate in cultivation, they're just waiting on it to miraculously happen for them. And that's not the way it works.
Right.
That's not the way it works. Does everybody understand that?
Yes.
So you don't get something for nothing. You have to be willing to make your investments. That's what you have to do. And like I said, we're going to talk about some other principles here, but I wanted to do that last screenshot. So for those of y'all that need the screenshot, go ahead and get it so you have the information. But the template that we have been given, what we duplicate is what was demonstrated. That's what we have to do, right? And the demonstration says that we should have multiple streams flowing into our family's home. And that's why it's so important. Like let's stop. Let's habit stack here. This is the reason why it's so important for us to have good habits so that we itemize and maximize our 24-hour day, because you have so much to do in an undetermined amount of time to do it in. So you got to get busy. You got to wake up every day with purpose, on purpose, and you have to have it mapped out what you're going to do. And then go do it and stop allowing yourself to be sidetracked by distractions.
Right.
But that's what most of us are doing. We're either not planning or we have a plan and we don't stick to it because we're so easily distracted. You got to stay focused. What did Paul say? He says, I press toward the mark. In order for you to get where you want to go, it's going to be a press because you're going against negative resistance. We know that is spiritual first, but it has to also be natural. So we got to do that on both planes. How do I make that work? I've got to press toward that mark. That's where I'm going. That's where I'm headed. And I cannot allow myself to be so easily distracted that I don't get things done. Anybody ever had a plan of things you had to get done today and you didn't get any of that done because everybody had you running all over the place?
Distraction.
That ain't about them. That's about you.
Right.
But then we try to use it as an excuse to say, well, I was going to do this. Oh, but you signed up for this, but you allow somebody that you didn't even sign up for to distract you to do something else that you signed up for. How's that work? So now you breaking your vows, you breaking your word, you breaking your commitment for something that was just thrown in front of you. All right. So Evangelist Green, I see the good doctor in the background, back there suited up, ready to go.
Yeah, he snuck in on me.
Snuck in up here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, look, I'm gonna yield back the balance of this time right here. Unless somebody got a question for me, sir, I'm good.
If there's anyone on Facebook that have a question or a comment at this moment before we end this session here, feel free to type it in. I can read it out. Anyone on Zoom? Reverend Doctor, you
Yes,
have a
ma'am.
question?
Dr. Akins, I just wanted to say thank you for making us aware of the different streams,
Yeah.
the gift, talents, skill, and profession, and helping us to identify the difference in between.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And we just getting started. We just getting started. This is slide 133 of 171, so we got a little ride to go.
Ooh.
That's the PowerPoint within itself. That
Yes, sir.
the four streams.
Yes. So we're going to build on this next week because we got to talk about cash flow quadrants and stuff like that so everybody understand how that works. These are principles that we have to apply, and you just have to go to work. It doesn't just happen. You got to go to work. But we have to become knowledgeable, and the more knowledgeable we become, I'm telling you, a lot of the stress that we have in our life every day, yeah, that comes just from not having the right knowledge. Because when you understand how to produce excess, and then you have a little discipline, when you learn, like ladies, y'all know we always talking about don't be impulse spender, right? All that kind of stuff. Like when you learn about true value, when you learn how to conduct yourself in the marketplace, when you learn how to do all these things, and then you apply all these other wholesome principles to it, your stress level is going to go down a lot.
Exactly.
You'll stop robbing from Peter to pay Paul.
Right.
That's a budget nightmare.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But we say that like that's a badge of honor. Oh, robbing from Peter to pay Paul. Oh, really? Is that what we're doing? So we robbing from. Listen to what you're saying.
Hmm.
Listen to what you're saying. We can't do that. We can't do that.
That's a careless statement.
It is.
And careless living.
Yes.
Yeah, this is very interesting, and I hope a lot of people have really taken it in. We thank you so much for the knowledge that you have given us. We have to really go towards what we are supposed to be doing. Don't let nobody distract us. There's a lot of distractions out here in the world, and there's homes and the streets and the job or wherever. But we have to know how to keep on going for what we need to go on. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And for those of us that are in leadership positions in the assembly, I mean, the people who come to our congregations have the right mindset and heart to give, and they would give if they had more to give.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is we don't teach them how to be able to create the more. What we teach them is bad theology, like having more is a problem.
Ooh.
That's what we teach them. And then we ask them for more. And yet we're telling them getting more is wrong. That's what we're like. Listen to what you're doing. You're telling them don't have more, be content, stay poor, and the Lord's going to take care of all of what you need. And then let me pass this plate around and ask all of y'all to give your last. Oh,
Yeah, come on now.
I'm just trying to understand this. I'm trying to understand. How does that even make sense?
Somebody caught me like that out of embarrassment one day.
Oh.
I could never forget that. They said, all the preachers. I just walked in, on the action. I said, all the preachers, and man, he got me good.
You have to explain what
Ooh.
it is.
He got me good. All preachers supposed to give $100.
Mhm.
I said, wait a minute, $100. And all them preachers running up there giving $100, and the program that they were having doesn't warrant that. You know, doesn't warrant that. But
Right.
because of how, you know, I did a sermon once that, you know, Christians are abused, you know, how would it now? Anyway, Christians are abused with doctrine.
Yes.
They're abused because you come, you don't know better. You're trying to find better. You're trying to
Mhm.
make it in. You're trying to do this. You're trying to do that to make it in. And you
Mhm.
pray. And whatever you're praying for, you have it already, but you don't realize it's right there in front of you.
Mhm.
And somebody is going to come now and tell you you have to do this to be accepted. Without the individual knowing what the scriptures is saying to them.
Yes.
And seeing the abuse that is coming their way.
Yes.
Amen.
Exactly. But I mean, it's just the lack of knowledge. It's the rejection of knowledge, and this is the reason why we're in the position that we're in. But it does not mean that we can't change course.
Of course you can.
Like this is not like what we're doing right now is not to pass judgment on you.
No.
It's to enlighten you.
Yes, that's right.
Hey, wait a second. We can change course. We can do a 180 here. We don't have to keep going in the same direction that we're going. We can take this information and go in a completely different direction. And then finally begin to reap the benefits and know what that looks like, know what that feels like, and then make our contributions.
That's right.
Right? That's what we can do.
Exactly.
We don't have to stay in this situation. We can change course. And you have to be willing to see it and do it differently. So that's it, sir. That's what I have for you this week. Next week, I'll be right back again.
That's a lot of meat.
Mhm.
And thank everyone for showing up. Those on Facebook, YouTube, and Roku TV. Thank you for tuning in. There's a lot to be learned here. And there's a lot to understand that, you know, sometimes we say we know and we don't even know they have. Somebody said the half have never yet been told. That's right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Evangelist Green, go ahead.
You said it all. You said it all. So, you know, like you said, we thank each and every one to come out and get what was, you know, the knowledge that Dr. Akins had given us, you know. Now we have to share it to other people as well. You know, we take it in and we share it as well to other people. So we all can get the knowledge, you know, and the understanding, you know. We just thank God for you all. Yes, I can't wait for next week now. What's that? Slide 134 be coming up?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. I'm writing it down each time. So,
I appreciate that.
yes. We thank you so much. So, we're going to. Are you finished?
Yes, ma'am. I'm done.
Okay, so we're going to ask Reverend Green to come on and close us out.
Put me to work.
That's right. From work to work.
Father in heaven, we thank you for this night. We thank you for the knowledge that has been imparted unto us. We thank you, Lord, that we are able to hear and to try to comprehend. So, God, we just ask that you pour back into Dr. Benjamin what he has poured out on us, O Most High God, that we will be able to receive again and again and again and multiply what we have learned to understand that you are keeping us and leading us to know the truth about your word. Guide us all as we go our different ways, dear Father, and help us. And thank you for this outlet. Thank you for Rock Vine Gospel Radio. We pray, Lord, that you will allow it to go to higher heights and deeper depths. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Good night,
Amen.
everyone. We thank you all and have a good night.
And we'll see you again tomorrow. See you again. again tomorrow. Yes.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Good
You
night
too.
now.
Thanks. Okay.
God bless.